And that's when I started writing. I always wrote, like I always would write. My grandma showed me that because I think in pictures and I don't have words running in there and I don't have an inner monologue, which a lot of people don't really fully understand. But I don't. There's nothing,
Yeah.
I'm not like thinking of like what's gonna happen next and what's gonna happen. I talk out loud. I talk myself through
Mhm.
things. And so when I think in pictures and I can't always get it out, it's told me to write, write, write. So that's when I started writing. I started writing at a young age. And that helped me process things so I can revisit it later and try to figure out what was I thinking, what was going on, what was going on in this situation. And so I started to share. I started to journal what I was experiencing myself and what I was looking at within my children. And I would write it. And I had these journals, just full of journals. And then one day I was like, I don't know, what made me decide to share one, but I did. And everyone was like, you should blog, you should write, you should share more. And I did that on my Facebook. And so I would share a little bit more. And then so I would be like, more blog, you should do a blog. It's like, cool, whatever. I just dove into it. I didn't really know what I was doing when I did it. It's like, I just started a blog and I just shared on there. And then it just kind of, it was very unsuccessful in the beginning. Like, it was just me just sharing a bunch of stuff that didn't really make sense to, and I wrote better when I was writing for myself and then I would just happen to share it. But then when it was like a blog, it was just like, oh, the shares have to be more deliberate now and they have to be
Now you have an
more,
audience, right?
yeah. And so the writing suffered. I can admit that it was just bad.
Mm.
And while a lot of people were still saying it was good, it was just bad. I didn't like it. I didn't do well at it. And I was burning myself out trying to maintain this blog I wasn't happy with and I wasn't, growing. And there was a lot of things going on in, our lives. And I was being more of an advocate in real life. I didn't think to write about that. I was just doing it. Like there was always a new fight. I was fighting with the schools. I was fighting with insurance companies. I was fighting with lawmakers. We were in Austin, like just sleeping in the Capitol building on the floor, just waiting to talk to someone, or going to a mock hearing or going. So I was doing all of that stuff on the outside of that blog. And I didn't think to like write about those experiences then. It was just trying to keep everything separate and just, write. But as I grew and learned, just as I tried to parent. I tried to just be a parent and not an autistic parent for so long. And I couldn't do that. Because autism is too, you know, such a part of me. It affects everything. It affects how I see the world and even how I see parenting. And I was trying to separate the two. And when I learned through writing and launching that initial blog that I couldn't separate the advocacy from it was seeping into my writing. Everything was touching everything. And I was like, I have to live completely whole in who I am.
Yeah.
And so I said I needed to shift. I needed to make a shift from talking primarily about being a parent because I'm not just a parent. And that's when I started to gain a little bit of like traction because I finally decided to give myself the permission to live whole, like and
Mhm.
completely me. And
Without, like, categorizing yourself
right, without
into
the
these different
little
boxes, yeah.
boxes. I mean, and the autism community itself will pit you against yourself. And it's just like this community is incredibly fractured. And I felt when I first started blogging, the only time that I would touch on those other identities that I claim was when I felt like I could definitely be the glue that glues everybody together. Cause I'm like the mom and I'm like autistic and it can work, and that no, that couldn't be my responsibility. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of, and it was just I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. And it's just when I went and I shifted from being just a parent blogger to embracing everything, that was when I realized it wasn't really on me to heal this divide. I just want to create my own space, create my own community of sorts, something that was reflective of, everything that I am, and a community that was, worthy of my children. And that's what I wanted to work on. I wanted to be like autism parent, autistic adults, autistic parent, woman, black, wife, daughter, sister, whatever. I wanted it all to be safe and welcome in this space. I wanted to create what I didn't see. And that is what I have been trying to work on full time for the last year or so, trying to get that out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great. Your blog is called Fidgets and Fries.
Yes.
And so your audience is all of those different groups that you mentioned.
Yes.
People who can relate to you. So what inspires you to write now?
Me, honestly. I'm not trying to be like this. I never would. I think that's why when I was having the problems in the first place, when I first started my blog, it's just like I wasn't thinking that much of myself. I wasn't selfish enough. I needed like a little part of me that was just like, you need to do this for you and how you feel and how you operate and stuff. And that is what I go by. I always will say that the day that I am no longer saved by writing is the day that I will no longer do this. I will like shut down my blog. I will not advocate. I will not do any of this because writing is what holds me together. And so I have to write for myself and no one else. I always write for an audience of one. And it's me.
Yeah.
And
Do you write every day?
I write every day. I write every day. I write all the time. Like I wrote a like 3-page paper on our table, our dining room table.
What was it about?
I was trying to make it come to life. Like I was trying to challenge myself. I'm like, I
Interesting.
wanted it to
Yeah.
be like this table and it's just sitting there and it has all these stories to tell, like from its humans that come and sit at it, and all the nicks that it has, from the little human children who hit on it. And it's just like this table just had all these stories and it had all this history and all these things going on with it. And the table has had so many different chairs because the chairs had broken. So it's like it gets introduced to all these new chairs. I write about everything. I write about life and taking things apart and examining their guts and writing about that and putting it back together. Um, but I write for me always. Like always. And
Mhm.
if someone gains something from that, or they see themselves in whatever it is that I share, that's like so amazing. It makes me feel really good, but it doesn't make my day. Like I don't want like the support and the praise and stuff to build me up so much that the moment I receive like any type of criticism, it breaks me.
Mm.
And that's what's happened before, is that I was writing for the support, and I was writing for the praise, and I was writing for the likes, and I was writing for the everyone else. I was
Mhm.
trying to find what everybody else liked and put that out there. And
Right.
I wasn't writing for me. And so when someone didn't like something that I put out that I felt like they would like because I was catering to them, that broke me. It
Mhm.
like completely sent me into like this these dark place. Like so I always make sure that I write for me. I have to like and love what I put out there because it's mine. And I build myself up. And I build
Yeah.
myself up so big that if anybody doesn't like what I have to say, I'm not broken by that.
Mhm.
This is me. This is me and my life. And you could disagree with it, but it won't matter.
That's a powerful place to stand. Yeah.
Yeah, it took a long time to get there, but it took like so long to get there, and I probably would have got there sooner if I would have listened to my grandma. But
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.